Does anyone have a question? I'd
Stuart,
like,
I have a question.
yeah,
Could you talk about the connection between gratitude and joy?
there is no gratitude without joy. There is no gratitude without happiness, and there is no happiness without gratitude. I mean, the heart has to be open, and if we're not thankful for the lives we live, if we're not thankful for the incredible gifts that are in, Irene, can you please sit still? Thank you. If we're not full of gratitude for the gifts we're given, for the very sacred nature of life, and finding the kindness and the goodness in life, then there's no joy. You can pretend, you can have charisma and, ha ha ha, and blah, 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 that kind of nonsense, personality. But that covers up a deep sadness inside people and an unhappiness inside people. Because without gratitude, without that really deep sense of being thankful for the life we're given and for the treasures that we're given in life and for what we learn about life and how to work out our karma, without that kind of depth in a human being, you understand? Happiness is real happiness. I don't mean some veneer of happiness that people, haha, they get drunk and everybody's giggling. But I mean really deep, from a deep place, and is an impossibility. So we need to be grateful. It's the first step towards having a spiritual life, is being grateful. We are alive, we breathe, you know, we're given every opportunity to get close to God. And the only interference in that process is what goes on in our own crazy brains. That's what stops us, our emotions, our mind, our sexual energy. That whole kind of chaos in a human being is what stops one from truly connecting with higher energy, from truly being grateful, from truly being, happy in this world. We are given the greatest gift imaginable, the gift of life. And the gift of life, and with the gift of life, we also have the ability to live here consciously. But we're not going to live here consciously if there's no gratitude in our heart. We're not going to be happy people if there's no gratitude in our heart. As I say, we can pretend, can drink a quart of scotch and giggle your brains out, and you know, and claim you are happy, but it's not. It's just a veneer that covers deep sadness in people. So there's a very real connection between gratitude and joy, gratitude and being a happy person. And both of them are essential if one wants a spiritual life. A person who lives in deep states of depression is not going to have a spiritual life. A person who makes the effort to transform that depression into an open heart will have a spiritual life. And one of the ways of doing it is through gratitude, suddenly discovering, hey, why am I messing up God's world? What right do I have to spend my time being depressed all the time? Messing up this incredible gift that I've been given called life. So it gets back to a simple answer. It gets back to each and every human being. Each and every human being, and whether or not in their day they make some kind of an effort doing something to develop a spiritual life, to develop a connection with God. And that requires gratitude. One has to be grateful for their life in order for this to take place. I always say happy people are enlightened people. You can find a lot of people walking around in robes, reading from the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita. There are millions of them in the world. Find a happy person, really happy person. You'll find an enlightened person. It's like finding the Holy Grail. I was talking about, something similar to this earlier today, and I think came from a very deep place inside me, and that is we're coming to the end of the year. The end of the year is a combination of frivolous music, jingle bells, and blah blah blah, and Handel's Messiah and Bach's Christmas Orator. I mean, it's a combination of very deep spiritual awareness with nonsense, frivolous things right on the surface. And usually they have to do with material things, and we forget, you understand? We forget, that time, life is teaching us constantly about how important it is to surrender inside, and how important it is to let go, and how important it is to evolve and change so that the old year becomes the new year, and the new year becomes old, because people don't truly see it consciously. Understand? They expect the new year to bring something amazing, and by the 15th of January, everybody's back in the same old bullshit again. Unless they change inside, they do something to truly change themselves inside. And if people don't do that, the only thing they really have is getting older. Getting older. I'm saying we all get older. We don't get older, we're dead, But that's what happens. And getting older brings with it physical problems, emotional problems, mental problems, all kinds of situations that manifest in the lives of people. And what I'm basically getting at is that we again have to come back to a simple reality. What are our priorities in life? Understand, what do we need to do to build a system inside that allows us to see the new year every day? Every day, not just once a year, but every day is a reason to celebrate, a reason to be joyous, a reason to be happy. Otherwise, I said today, when I lived in Denton, Texas, most of the students around me were 22, 25, they were young people. All those people are 75 years old today. God knows what happened to them all. 50 years later, and how many of them have done spiritual work every day for 50 years? And the whole point of all this is, yes, we live in a material world. We live in a world that sees or requires us to live consciously in the material world. But we have to get big enough to include the material world, the spiritual world, you know, family world, emotional world, all of it is part of life. And all of it is connected. And the only reason it disconnects itself is because we get disconnected in ourselves. That's why it's the material versus the spiritual versus the family and the this and the that, and everything is in conflict with everything else. Why? Because there's so much conflict inside people that they haven't built a system inside that truly has them living with a sense of peace, a sense of harmony, inner quiet, the ability to see what's real, what's fake, to make conscious choices. And to develop, look, a chakra system that is strong enough to keep one young inside. The only reason people get old inside is they have no inner development. But if they have a strong chakra system, it keeps them young inside. And they have wisdom, they have knowledge, you understand? They see the world differently. And they're capable of having patience with life and opening to life and allowing, as I've said 100 million times in the last 6 months, life to be this amazing teacher. Otherwise, it's just we get old. We fretch and complain about the aches and pains and the this and the that, and we get old. We're going to get old anyway. We might as well do something to stay young inside ourselves. And this is a hard thing because there's a lot of pressure on people. There's a lot of, money pressure, family pressure. We have parents, we have children, we have, all kinds of stuff goes on in that creates pressure. Well, how do you deal with the pressure? You got to get younger inside. You got to get stronger inside. You got to get more connected with spiritual energy. And you can't take your spiritual life for granted. Because otherwise, you don't you get older. And there's nothing wrong with getting older, especially if your inner life gets younger. And that has to do with what you asked, having gratitude. How do you have gratitude? You have to have a heart that's open. How do you have a heart that's open? You got to build a system that enables the heart to stay open. Otherwise, every bullshit little thing that happens creates drama inside and closes the heart. People get angry. Somebody else does something stupid and people get angry. So all of this works together. And it's the end of the year is coming. It's supposed to be Happy New Year. Well, don't let Happy New Year end on January 15th. Make it happy every day. Every day should be a day of celebration. We're alive, for God's sake. We have to celebrate life, which doesn't mean we have to go out and have festivals all the time, but in our hearts, the love, the connection with God, spirit, patience with people, compassion for other people, the compassion for ourselves. And I'm not talking about going to Burning Man or whatever that place is and getting crazy and so, every day you get up and you have a cup of tea in the morning and it's a miracle. You drink some water, you brush your teeth, you understand, you take a shower, do something, you do this, you do your work. Everything is a miracle. That's what we have to learn to celebrate. Not to go to 42nd Street on New Year's Eve, get drunk and scream your brains out, you know? But celebrate the little things, the wonderment of life, and how sacred life is. Cup of tea is sacred. The Japanese make it into a sacred ceremony, drinking a cup of tea. The food we eat, a glass of water, everything should remind us that we have to celebrate that moment. And if people do things we don't like, so what? So what? We're offended? Well, you're only offended because there's something in yourself that is just like the person that offended you. That's why you get offended. All right. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Well, let's go into this new year celebrating a happy moment. Life today, okay? And we become worthy of being children of God. We celebrate God's creation. Not by, as I say, going to a crowd of 20,000 people and screaming, but celebrating the breakfast you eat, people you're with, your family, you know. Does anyone else have a question you'd like to ask? Uh, I'm there's not going to be a class on Wednesday. I'm going to take a day off. I'm going to take Christmas off. It's been quite a year. I mean, even today, I'm doing healing work with, I mean, it's been really an unbelievable year. Unbelievable year. And I must admit, I'm a little bit tired and I'm going to take a day off. Christmas. There'll be a class on tomorrow and Thursday there'll be a class, but on Wednesday I'm going to just take a break. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Also, for all of you to know that there's a retreat in February. Uh, you know, 20 people have signed up. If you have any plans to attend, let me know, let Jennifer know, we'll put you on a waiting list. There's always one or two people that drop out. It's always happens. So don't be, if you want to get put on a waiting list, chances are pretty good you'll probably be able to come. Okay, God bless you all. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening and let's celebrate the evening. Okay. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
You,
Thanks,
Stuart.
Stuart.
Good night.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.